Hello, Aaron, and welcome to Top 14.
Alright. Our 33 subscribers now.
33, I think it was on 33 last episodes as well, right? Or was it on 30?
32, I think.
32. Yeah.
Can't remember. But
See them go. They're going up faster than they go down. So. Biggest headline at the moment, well, definitely in my world and probably your world, is Elon Musk buys Twitter. It was in the news for a while anyway. I think it's been for about 5 or 6 months now, but he's now officially bought Twitter because he's a chief twit.
yeah, I remember when we first started the podcast, this was like big news, and the story was changing every week, and I can't believe it's actually happened now.
Yeah, because you had your segment right on talk about Elon every week.
Yeah, Elon update. But
Yeah.
Did you see the video of him bringing the kitchen sink into?
Yeah, and he captioned like, walking into Twitter headquarters like that sinking.
Yeah. But I think he fired the CEO and a couple of other like high ranking people in Twitter.
Yeah, I think he fired quite immediately. Fired the person who cancelled Donald Trump off. I think it was Donald Trump.
Okay. Donald Trump's allowed back on the platform now, right?
I don't know. I know he's not uncancelled people yet, has he?
Yeah, I think he's allowed back on the platform. I think he is.
Oh, right.
You don't have to fact check that.
Yeah, last thing I heard was Kanye's account was there, but it was an inactive account. So, but then I've also heard they've uncancelled. I don't know what we want to call it. Uncancelled, probably. Uncancelled, allowed access back to certain people. I think they're doing it. I don't think it's going to be boom, right, everyone's back. I think it's quite a process to take in. He's got a new board in, which are basically there to measure and sort of work out what they're going to do about the problem of Twitter, because Twitter's a massive
Yeah, it's not making a lot of money, which is a big problem for a platform that size. It should be making money. So I think he's going to turn that around. I think he's, well, I didn't read into much detail, but I saw something that he's going to introduce like a membership fee for the blue tick.
Yeah, so
to become a verified tweeter.
$20 or something a month, I think, if you want the blue tick next to your name.
Okay.
What do you think?
Is that for anybody or just celebrities?
I'm imagining you get to the point, I don't know what the point is where you can become verified. It must be a certain amount of followers or whatever, certain stature of person. But I think it's going to be the same as it is now. This is just what I'm guessing. It's the same as it is now, but if you want the blue tick, then you've got to pay your subscription to have your blue tick.
Okay. I think that's a good way to do it.
That was his way of filtering out the bots, because there were a lot of bots with blue ticks apparently.
All right.
So the only way, the bots aren't going to pay to have a blue tick. So
yeah,
what you do, then at least they're profiting from the bots at that point.
And a lot of people who already have the blue tick, like that level of such, $20 a month isn't a massive amount to pay for them. Like a lot of them are already multimillionaires or.
Well, yeah, they're using the Twitter platform to monetize whatever it is they're doing anyway.
Yeah, to market themselves. So.
Did you see Tim Pool's first tweet?
No.
Have you not heard it?
Nah, I've not watched Tim Pool for a while. He must have said it in the pod, but I've not watched it for a while.
Oh, I didn't see it on Tim Pool. I'm not going to say it first. I'm just going to put the picture of it up.
Whilst you're looking for that, I know Rogan's gone back on Twitter again.
Quite a few people have gone back onto Twitter now, haven't they?
I've never used, well, I used to use Twitter when I was younger, but I never really used it. I was like in my 20s. Might get back on it.
Yeah, to be fair, I want to see what's going on that side now, because I've not really used it. It's not really attracted me in the same way. Because if you look at social medias, like, so you got Facebook, which is the pinnacle to keep in contact with your long distance relatives and friends that live on the other side of the country. but that kind of from our generation, I think it kind of got replaced by Instagram, and that was your way of keeping in contact with without actually talking to them. You can see what they're up to. They can see what you're up to. Doing the quick likes, just like a bit of a nudge to say, "I still know you're around," sort of thing. But Twitter not really like enticed me as much.
I think Twitter might be good for us, like as a bit of a to get news sources and hear other people's opinions.
Yeah, I think it'll be good for the
So,
channel. Right?
Yeah, probably good for the channel if we both start using it a bit more.
So as soon as he found out Elon bought it, he tweeted ivermectin.
That's both funny.
Just to see what the oh shit, funny Timple.
Yeah, so I think Twitter's going to become a bit more like the like how we see Rumble, but I think it's still going to have a lot of its normal users on it who aren't like too idealistic, like think, oh, now Elon's boy, I'm moving platform. So it's going to keep like some sane people on, but then it's going to also get the people with outrageous comments back. But then it should, and I think this is what Elon wants. He wants a place where everyone can sort of have these discussions about anybody worried about being cancelled. If someone says something crazy, let the people call him out. Don't let Twitter shouldn't be the boss of who gets called out. It should be the people that decide.
Yeah, because it was. I think it was on Breaking Points. Crystal was saying Twitter was referred to as sort of like the town center of the internet, like the town hall, whatever, the meeting point of the internet. So that's where everyone goes to, I don't know, protest or goes to voice their opinions or just to have a chat or just to meet people or whatever. And yeah, I think what Elon's planning to do, it's hard to pinpoint what he's planning to do because I keep hearing so many different things now. He's bought it because it's such big news. The richest man in the world owns one of the biggest social medias in the world, but he's going to make it into more of a sort of hub. So think like we go onto WhatsApp now to chat to someone. I think how he wants it to be is a social media, but you still go in there to use it as you would use WhatsApp. Instead of using WhatsApp, you would talk on there. Instagram, post your pictures in there. I think he's trying to make it a hub of everything, and obviously with complete free speech and no regulations on what has been on previously.
Yeah. So it's perfect. I think it's what society needs at the moment. Is you've got two camps like at the moment that are just both feels it. It should help with the division between both camps because they're in one place and they both can have it out. If someone from one camp decides not to be on that platform anymore, then that's their option. But Elon's not the one who's going to dictate whether they can be on it or not.
Yeah.
It's the people's option.
And I think the biggest point of when Jack Dorsey had it, for me personally, was when Donald Trump, an ex-president, gets cancelled from a social media site. You really got to start questioning what kind of control these people have, because he potentially could be running for. Is he running for president? Is it confirmed, or I don't know? Again,
Was Jack Dorsey? Did he still have a say in it though, or did he just own like the majority?
Well, yeah, he wasn't CEO, but I mean, that's where I don't. I'm not blaming Jack Dorsey for anything. I don't know what was what in that situation, but you can't really be angry at a guy who's built Twitter and it expanded into the level it's at with people like Donald Trump using it to obviously do a political campaign. I can't really judge him on his actions of trying to control it because he must have tried to control it in a panic if it was him.
I don't think it was just him making decisions. I think it was like the whole.
They're bored.
The board, the employees, like if you look at tech employees, they generally tend to have more like left leaning ideologies than that I'm not comparing to anyone, but they generally tend to have more left leaning ideologies. So if the employees are starting to like get riled up about Donald Trump being on Twitter, then it's sort of that culture in the organization like feeds all the way through.
Yeah, and then that's the culture which Jack Dorsey's allowed. Obviously, like you've just said, within the tech industry anyway. I don't know what his political stance is, but if we're saying he was leaning that way anyway, and then his employees or the board were getting pissed off with comments that were being made, his sort of first solution would have been, okay, let's remove these types of people off the platform without thinking of the actual consequences of their actions, because the world itself, society, definitely in the West, the way it's evolving, like what we've been doing this podcast, like we just said, 5 months, shitloads has changed within society and culture and all sorts within just them 5 months. So to have something so big, like such a big platform for society, especially in the West, which is ever changing and trying to have control over all these people, I don't think he was the right man, or that previous board or whoever ran stuff at Twitter. I don't think it was the correct way of being handled. And I'm not saying Elon Musk's is the correct way either, because fuck knows what he's going to do.
But so far, from what I can see of it, it feels like it's the right way. Obviously, we'll see in like a year's time to sort of figure out exactly what his plans are with Twitter.
Yeah. But when you said about we need to go on Twitter, be good for the channel, if he's trying to make this into a hub for everything, he's probably going to, because Twitter doesn't really compete, I don't think, with the likes of Meta or the likes of Google in terms of, because obviously Google's got YouTube, which has shitloads of people on, and Facebook's got Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook, which has shitloads of people on. I don't think Twitter's competing in the same way, but I think Elon's bought it to try and compete with these channels. So he'll probably bring something, well, I'm just presuming he'll bring something equivalent of YouTube onto the Twitter platform.
Yeah, possibly.
Because a lot of people are getting cancelled off. YouTube kicks off.
And it would be a good route for him to go down.
But that's a bit scary as well, because then he's then the master of the people. Because he's anti-Great Reset, right? He's not a globalist in the sense of what we've been talking about on the channel. He's Klaus Schwab.
Yeah, as far as I know, he's anti-Great Reset.
Yeah, as far as what we can sort of figure out.
And I'm saying that like with sort of hesitancy that he is a billionaire still, and his actions seem to be, from my perspective, that he's anti-Great Reset and he does things for the people, even though he is a billionaire. But from my perspective, he's a billionaire who I trust more than Jeff Bezos, which he could be the force we need to sort of push against the Great Reset. He's a man who is the richest man in the world, and he's got an immense amount of power, a lot more power than we have as individuals, or even just us two put together with more power. So he's somebody that could bring the people together if that's what his intentions are.
Yeah. But then we can't sort of cross out the fact that he could be anti-Great Reset, but he could also be a competitor for the Great Reset.
Yeah.
One control on his own, because if everything he's building, his whole Mars expedition, the Neuralink, for example, it's all scary shit for one person to have control of. And that's just the way tech's going at the moment anyway. He could well be setting up to compete, and he might be anti-Great Reset because, in fact, he wants it all. Dogecoin, automobiles, because that's travel technically. and then
Yeah,
Neuralink implanted into your brain.
that Neuralink being implanted into your brain is a sketchy thing.
And now, CEO of Twitter, it's another arm that he's attached to himself with another arm of immense power.
Yeah.
It's actually quite fucking scary, to be honest.
Well, the things I've seen, like he's got Open AI, which is all open source artificial intelligence technology, which open source is what we want to see as a population. Like, you don't want to see like Google, who are closing everything off for their eyes only. Whereas we can see it, all the coding and everything, how everything's coded. Like, the people can see it and they can call it out if there's anything malicious in there. So,
yeah, because what do we get off
like
Google?
I said, like,
all we get off Google is a privacy statement or a terms and conditions that we got to tick up.
Yeah, like he talks, everything he says sounds good to the average person, like to people, but his actions are also seem to be the right thing as well. So from what I've seen of him, like he's got, I won't say 100% my trust, but he's got more of my trust than anybody else in that position, in the position he's in.
Yeah, in the global elites or the tech titan.
Yeah. And I was having a discussion with someone the other day, and basically I said, we were talking about politicians and Rishi. I said, like, they talk the talk, but the actions never prove anything to me. Their actions are always the wrong way, or they do something to better themselves or better the people around them, but there's never anything for the people. So I said, once I start seeing their actions, actually things they do that win me over rather than the words, then I'll start believing in that leader.
Yeah.
So based on that, like, very simplistic way of looking at it, from Elon's actions, he's got my sort of belief. And hate him or, like, people don't like him for certain things and people love him. I wouldn't say I love the guy, but I definitely don't hate the guy. And I think we're all humans anyway, so people make mistakes and say the wrong thing here and there, but nobody's perfect, are they? So
yeah, I mean, it's a good comparison comparing them to what's in power at the moment, and definitely Rishi Sunak or even Joe Biden. These people just lie and lie and lie, and we were saying it on the last podcast. I think they've lied for so long and they lie so much that it's now accepted that these guys aren't telling the truth, and everyone just sort of sits back and like, well, we know they're not telling the truth, but what do we? Everyone's like, what do we do? There's no other options, but there is other options. We just need to actually look into them.
In the conversation as well, I had, like, the scary thing is like, because we're so used to people lying, and where everyone's sick of it. Everyone's sick of it. No one really does anything about it. But then if a leader came along like Elon, who took advantage of that, he could easily take advantage of that, do a few actions that win the people over. And then next thing you know, he's got a massive following. And yeah, like, the worry is he's then got too much control where he's basically, yeah. Like, we in the discussion, like, we was talking about Hitler and how he came in after World War I, sort of saved the German economy, made the German, like, got all the German people on side, and then it just took a dark turn after that, which could easily happen, I think, with our population today, because we're going through such a hard time. All it takes is that one person to come along and be the man of the people. But how do you know when that man of the person gets in power, he's got the right intentions once he's obtained all that power? So that's something that, like, you need to be, like, careful of, I guess, or wary of.
Skeptical about everything, because it's not a small thing what's happening with these people, because a lot of power rides in their hands. So, and people do change. I mean, we always sort of look and congratulate people who have sort of been bad in their life and suddenly they hit 40, 50, sort of midlife and then sort of find God or they change for the better. But there are still people who genuinely start out good and they turn bad. That happens. People change. People evolve for better or for worse, just depending on what their life experience, what's on their life path. So yeah, we do need to be skeptical about everyone. But one thing about the Twitter purchase, which sort of backs up the fact that the government didn't want him to buy Twitter. It took, 6 months for him to actually buy it? He had the money was there. He was like, just take the money and I'll have Twitter. But no, the government decided, actually, we need to look into this guy and try and find... They did a full investigation, right, to try and find dirt on him.
I'm not 100% sure what happened.
So, well, yeah, I think within the process of him buying Twitter, a lot of the global elites, the governments, everyone that sort of deals with the world's workings was pretty much all against him buying Twitter. So I think, I'm not 100% sure, this might just be something I've heard, which might not be right or wrong, I've just heard this. They launched an investigation on him to try and find dirt on him, anything to try and stop him from buying Twitter, which led me to believe, okay, it's been 5 months. That's a thorough investigation if they have done one. And for them to not find anything on him, to let the transaction go ahead, must mean he must be quite a fairly clean guy, right?
Yeah. If that investigation went ahead and they didn't find anything, I didn't see any negative news coming out about him over the past 5 months. I don't think. Trying to think back to the past 5 months.
I'm trying to find things about any negative news at all. I mean, there's been that scandal about him getting a massage or something.
Oh yeah, that was
close to when he was buying Twitter, right?
Yeah, that was about April time.
Because I shit you not, the media companies, as in mainstream media, would not want that transaction to go ahead.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
So they would have been trying to do some slander in that sense. Maybe that's why that came out. But it's nothing aggressively harsh that he's been doing. That's negative. Which has come out anyway. And
these guys find dirt on anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyone can find dirt on anyone, just random people sat on their computers.
Yeah.
Do some thorough research and find some crazy stuff out about people.
But I was listening to Rogan today and they put on this day in the life of a Twitter employee. I think this is what Elon's... So if you try and find the clip, I think it's a TikTok. I think this is the kind of culture that Elon's going to try and get rid of. You look more like a holiday camp than a workplace.
Is it one of these two?
Oh, it's that top one, I think.
As a Twitter employee. So this past week went to SF for the first time at a Twitter office, badged in. Honestly, took a moment to just soak everything in. What a blessing. Also started my morning off with an iced matcha from the perch. Then I had a meeting, so quickly scheduled one of these little pod rooms, which were so cool. They're literally noise canceling. Took my meeting, got ready for lunch. Look how delicious this food looks. Oh my goodness, I was so overwhelmed. Then made my way down to this log cabin area. I don't know what this is, but it was really cool. Played some foosball with my friends to kind of unwind a bit. Also found this really cool meditation room that I thought was super neat. I didn't do any yoga, but they have this yoga room if you are a yogi, so also thought that was really cool. Had a couple more meetings in the afternoon, had a ton of projects that we needed to knock out. Say hi to my teammates. Went to the library to kind of get some more work done. Obviously had to have our afternoon coffee, so made some espresso. And then before leaving for the day, had some red wine that's on tap. went up to the rooftop, and just honestly enjoyed the beautiful weather. So awesome trip.
Is that a lot of work? Is it like a weekend?
It
Like,
reminded me of, if you're like in uni and you've got a uni project on,
Yeah.
you just piss around for most of the day and then just fit elements of work around pissing around. That's what it reminded me
That's
of.
what it looked like, yeah, exactly.
So he's come in and just sacked shitloads of people, hasn't
Yeah, because of that kind of culture, I think.
he? Yeah.
But it
Because-
wasn't making any money, but it's paying its staff, like, God knows how much, like, some engineers are on 100k plus.
Yeah. They were high paid. But he's very much, his work culture is like fucking work, innit? Everyone needs to come in and work. It's all about, like, if you don't work, then nothing's gonna happen, nothing's gonna evolve, which is completely right.
Yeah. Which is, how it should be. Like, you can't just be going around, like...
No. Well, he's trying to run, it's a fucking massive project, like running something the size of Twitter. It's like, imagine we're just trying to do a YouTube channel, like that takes a lot of work to do. So imagine that's like fucking 7 million fold doing Twitter.
Yeah.
People pissing
And then
around.
look at this guy. He's running Tesla. He's running SpaceX. Like, 3 massive projects. And then that's not even mention like Boring Company. And all the other like smaller things that he's doing. And when I say smaller, like Boring Company's pretty big. But
Yeah, in comparison to his other projects, they're small.
yeah.
Realistically, they're fucking massive.
I don't know how he does it. How does one guy manage all this stuff?
He's an alien, man. He must be. What was it I was talking to? I was talking to someone. Was having this conversation about Elon, saying, think about everything he does, right? And it's all for the betterment of society. Even this adds into it as well. He's just bought Twitter. He's trying to make everything renewable. He's trying to get to Mars. They're saying like he's maybe not an alien, but he might have been abducted by aliens, and they might have given him the blueprints to how to solve the world. They might have seen the world in the future and said, this is how you solve the problems in the world to stop it from going to, or someone's traveled back from the future, or he might have traveled back from the future and found blueprints of how to solve.
The way he behaves as well, it looks like you get a feeling that he's not human. Like, just the way he behaves and his awkwardness.
He does all of this stuff, right, which you've just gone over, these massive projects, but yet when he was on the Rogan podcast, he didn't seem stressed. He didn't seem...
Yeah.
I could imagine just running fucking Tesla would be stressful as fuck. But no, he's doing all of this shit, and yet he's tweeting like he's just chilled out life. There's no stress involved in his life, but yet he's doing these massive projects which are growing at like a super fast rate.
Yeah, running Tesla's a full-time job in itself. Never mind sending rockets into space.
Starlink as well.
Starlink. Like, and now he just bought Twitter. And he walks into Twitter HQ for the sinking his on. He's like, I think the biggest troll on the internet has just bought one of the biggest social media platforms on the internet.
Chief Tweet. Chief Twit. Yeah, I don't know. See how it pans out. I think we should keep this segment in and follow him on his journey of Twitter.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm definitely going to get my Twitter account back.
Yeah.
Follow some of the right people on it.
Yeah, so follow us, guys, on Twitter. We'll leave our Twitter links in the description below.
And yeah, should give us some more discussion pieces. Twitter as well.
Yeah, definitely. And then we can build a community. We'll have an alternative Twitter page eventually. And tweet. Yeah. Well, we'll do our personals as well. But yeah, another thing that I wrote a few things down, but one of them which I saw was someone analysed Twitter and found 90% of tweets on Twitter come from only 10% of the users. So that either shows there's a massive balance problem on the platform, or it's just absolutely saturated with bots. So I think that's something he's wanting to
get rid of those bots.
Yeah, I think he wants to deal with the bots, and I think he wants to try and sort the balance problem out. And that's where I think if he's taken it into this hub mode, where you're not just talking to a wider group, you can talk to smaller communities. It will get more people interacting on the actual app. And I think he's trying to fix that problem by.
Isn't that what Reddit's like?
Yeah, I guess he's must be trying to do something similar to, like, not just Reddit, but multiple different things that work out there and implement them all onto here. I think he's the richest guy in the world, and he's just bought.
You use Reddit. I like Reddit.
Yeah. Well, it's hard not to use Reddit, because whenever you've got something that you want to read up a little bit more on, or just check opinions on, if you just Google it, boom, Reddit's first.
Yeah, and you get like genuine opinions as well. Not do you know when you're looking for like a review on something, and sometimes you go on Google or Amazon, and it's all like it's just weird reviews. Like I don't know if I trust them 100%, but then when you go on Reddit, like you get people's genuine experiences.
Because on YouTube and stuff, people are paid to leave them reviews, right?
Yeah, so I use Reddit for like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's like if I'm on YouTube watching a review of something, I would take more from the comment section of the review than I would from the actual reviews.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Because that's like a little Reddit zone, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because you're getting there genuine, actual people aren't being paid to do anything. You just want to add a bit of content or add their 2p.
Yeah.
Whereas on YouTube, yeah, everyone's just paid, and then Amazon's full of fake reviews.
Yeah. I'd like to see how Twitter evolves though and pans out. I think, yeah, it's definitely a good idea getting back on it and seeing how it works.
Yeah, it'd be interesting over this next year. Be interesting before the US elections as well, like the main election.
He'll probably have Trump. Yeah, I just checked, by the way. Fact checked you. Yeah, Trump's not yet been uncancelled.
He's not been uncancelled yet?
No, not yet.
Have you uncancelled anybody yet?
Yeah, they've uncancelled people, but it's no one of a massive caliber. I think they're just uncancelling. They're obviously doing some sort of filter and going through people and just working
He'll
out.
do it when the news of him buying Twitter has died down a bit, to then spike his, like, the name Twitter back up again. Or just uncancelled Donald Trump and Kanye West or something.
Yeah, he's not an idiot, so he's obviously got a plan, but at the same time, he, but then Trump might not even want to come back on Twitter.
Yeah, because he's got that True Social, but
yeah,
I reckon he will come back on if he wants to go up for election again. He's gonna have to go on Twitter.
Yeah, it would be massive for his campaign. Right, do you want to go over your article?
Yes, I do want to do my article. All right, so work at Exodus. So this is from the South China Morning Post. Work at Exodus, COVID-19 lockdown in world's largest iPhone factory hit Apple supply chain in China. An unknown number of workers have fled the iPhone production plant run by Foxconn Technology Group in Zhenzhou as COVID-19 cases flare. At least 10% of the global iPhone production capacity is affected by the situation in the Zhenzhou campus, one analyst said. So, I don't know if many of you already know. Do you know much about what's going on in China, Stolcom?
Bits and pieces. I'm not very connected with it as I was.
Basically got this zero COVID policy.
Yeah.
So they're still in 2022 locking down cities due to COVID cases, which I just think's pretty fucking insane considering where the rest of the world's at the moment. If you scroll up a bit, Cam, I'll read a bit more. An exodus of panicked workers fearing COVID-19 lockdown and infections in the world's largest iPhone factory in central Chinese city, Zhengzhou, could slow the production of Apple's flagship device in the coming months. There's been video clips circulating on social media showing some fleeing the compound on foot and walking in fields and highways because public transport in the city was suspended due to COVID-19 controls.
Oh my goodness.
So Foxconn, they put on some transport for these people who are fleeing to put them into a quarantine zone. If you scroll down, here, Foxconn has set up 7 pickup points for workers leaving the campus, according to the company's latest notice. Local authorities in other cities in Henan, where many Foxconn workers come from, have also rushed to arrange coaches to take people home. They're moving them to a local quarantine and reception centre. But because of these lockdowns, these people were basically having to... So they wake up in their dormitories, which are on site. You have to walk the exact same route to where they work, go to work for 12 hours, and walk the exact same route back to their dormitories, and they couldn't like mix and mingle around and stuff. So it's basically like a bloody prison camp where they just meant to work. That's just to try and get rid of or try and reduce the amount of COVID infections within the plant, within the factory.
So, do you know much on whether like their numbers, like are the numbers going down or going up, or
what with COVID infections?
Yeah, in general, because if they're still acting in this manner and it's not having an impact, then what the hell are they doing?
It doesn't make any sense to me, like what's going on. Like, I'm trying to like work it out in my head. I can't figure it out what China's plans are for this. Like, it just makes no sense.
Because what's the US's responses? Because obviously, if this is bottlenecking iPhones, so there's going to be a problem with iPhone shortages in the US
just before Christmas as well.
What are the US like? They surely must have some sort of reaction to what's being called like the shortages causing down the economy. So, like, this is what I didn't get from sort of quite early on with COVID. Well, not early on with COVID, but early on since we came out of COVID recovery in the West. China never really did anything to come out of it. But most of our goods are from China. Like, there's fuck all that the West really make. Everything's China or India or whatever countries in that side of the world. But how can we survive when this type of stuff's happening? Because we're so reliant on their products, their production. What's the answer for the West? Like, we need to. I guess there's a big. People are speaking a lot about we need to start bringing stuff home and making stuff in the US. Or
well, I know Apple, they aren't as heavily reliant on Chinese workers anymore because I think they've opened up factories in India, Vietnam. I think maybe in Brazil as well.
So anywhere else they can get cheap labor.
Yeah, so they're trying to sort of vary where they get it. So it's not all just one. If China shut down, then no iPhones can come out. So they're trying to like spread it out a little bit more. So if something happens, even if something happens in India, then they've still got 3 other countries they can rely on. But China have been in and out, like different cities have been in and out of lockdown all year. I've not really noticed a massive supply chain issue with goods, but I don't really buy much goods anyway, so, but I don't know where it leads to. It doesn't make any sense that they're still treating COVID as if it's
The
It's
only
going to
thing
kill everybody it infects.
I can sort of, this is like stretching quite far though. The only thing I can, all right, so you've got the West who have been through lockdowns and all of that stuff, and then China are still in that same mindset at the moment of people need to be locked down. We sort of equated a lot of the lockdowns to the elites trying to gain more control over their population, which we know China are very good at doing. So the only thing I can sort of point this to is they're just going to continue doing this until it becomes a norm to have lockdowns. So they're just trying to normalize lockdowns in their country. This is what it seems like from an outside-in point of view. It just looks like they're just trying to make it a normal thing for lockdowns. So if anything happens, they're just absolutely bleeding COVID dry just to make it normal for everyone. So if anything else happens in the future, they can be like, boom, lockdown. You lot are protesting, you're going to go on lockdown. You lot are doing this, go on lockdown.
Yeah. Try and normalize, desensitize them to lockdowns.
Yeah.
So I'm used to it. Mm.
Which is kind of where people were pointing at with the West, because we had the COVID lockdowns to decrease the spread of something which we found was just, there was a lot of bullshit spoken around the subject, and it just, everyone's lost trust in it from the West, where I don't know what the citizens of China feel about it, if they're scared or what the propaganda on it's like, if it's worked over there or not. But people have lost trust in so many elements of the West that it doesn't work here.
I spoke to my mates from China. So for those of listeners who don't know, I lived in China for a year when I was at uni. So I still got a few mates there. I was speaking to them about 3 months ago, and when I told one of them I had COVID twice, he was shocked because he generally thought it was like really dangerous. And maybe I'm spreading misinformation, like what the Chinese government will class as misinformation in China. But I was like, no, I'm all right. Like, you just get through it. I said, it's just like a bit of like a bad flu. I said, I was still young, like it's fine. And he was like, oh, like he thought we were crazy, like over here because we don't care about COVID anymore. And there, it's like constantly lockdown, open up, lockdown, open up.
Yeah. So it does seem that way, that they're just trying to implement these lockdowns as a norm.
Yeah, the Chinese population are pretty brainwashed. I'd rather brainwashed or scared. Maybe both.
Yeah, probably both. I mean, to be scared of something which, I don't know, we're looking at it from our point of view, but to be scared of something which, I mean, they're still stuck in the same phase that we were in. Do you remember first when Boris Johnson came on BBC to say, work from home, stay at home, and all this shit? I was quite scared. I think most people were quite scared because it was all like, what the fuck's going on? Like, there's something that we've not experienced in most people's lifetimes. We're all like, shit, man, stay at home. This is bad. This is bad. And then as time progressed, I was like, wait a minute, you fucking dickhead. He's having parties and shit and knob. Locking us down. They must still be in that phase of shit. The one that we were in, because it was a harsh time. Like, it was a weird time to be. I had weird feelings going into it because it was a lot of. You hear about in history all these plagues and all these crazy illnesses that wiped out so many people. So you start thinking of all that. They must still be in that mindset now because their propaganda, their media is quite controlled, right?
Yeah, it's all controlled by.
A lot more controlled than ours is because we've got platforms. Like, do they have YouTube in China?
They got Weibo, I think it's called Weibo.
Yeah, so it's a Chinese.
No, that's not the Chinese YouTube.
But they don't have the.
But they do have a Chinese equivalent to YouTube.
Yeah, but they don't have the YouTube that we've got.
No.
It's sites like Rumble and stuff, which is not censored at all. They don't have this. They've only got like their news, which the government obviously give them. So imagine we only had like BBC News and we only had the government telling us what's going on. We would still be shit scared right now. It's only because we've got people like Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, people that can actually speak up because we've got this so-called free speech, that we desensitize ourselves from the COVID scares. They haven't. They're still well and truly locked in, and that's it's fucking scary, man, to see China still going through this because there's a lot of people there.
And I was going to bring this up. I chose one of my articles, but I completely forgot about it because I was listening to it the other day. Basically, the President Xi, I was going to do some more research into it. I completely forgot. But I think what's happened in China, like some massive, like some big scale things happen in the political scene, where Xi has managed to gain more power within the CCP. And there's a video that came out of Xi's predecessor, and obviously because he's the predecessor, he still holds quite a powerful position within the CCP because he used to be the leader of it. They're sat in. Have you seen the picture of the place where they all like sit around with the big stage?
The big ass hall.
Yeah. So they're sat in there, and Xi's there. His predecessor's on the left hand side of him, and then there's probably 10 other men like sat along there. And then there's like a big conference going on, and then 2 security guys come up to Xi's predecessor. He's sat right next to him. Start talking to the predecessor, and basically telling him he needs to go. And he looks like fucking confused as fuck on his face, like he doesn't know what's going on. So they pick it, they grab him like up, and then walk him out. And then he's trying to like say something to Xi, and she's just like got a blank, like not like responding to him. And he turns to the guy on the right who's supposedly a supporter of him and just smiles at him. But that guy's like looking like dead forward, like he doesn't want to make any eye contact with he doesn't want to know what's going on. And he's just looking like straight black, like proper dead face, just looking forward like that. And then you're walking past 10 other guys and they're all just like there, like, like scared, like looking just straight.
Yeah, trying to not show any emotion.
Yeah, not showing any emotion, just blank faces, just all of them, not even acknowledging what's going on.
What the fuck?
Well, I saw that video and it's pretty fucking scary how much.
What's the video called? What would you search for it?
I don't know. Xi's predecessor being
escorted out. Here we go.
Yeah.
Sinister. Yeah, it's mental. This room that they have these conferences or whatever.
Now let's talk about China briefly. So anti-Xi Jinping posters, a predecessor being escorted out. Have a look. Here we go. This was Xi Jinping's predecessor finds himself on the wrong end of...
He's sitting next to Xi.
He's sitting next to Xi Jinping.
And Xi grabs
and the goons
papers.
come in and he's gone.
And at the very end, before the goons drag him away, he says something to Xi.
Yeah.
And I would pay any amount of money to know what he said. I wonder if he said... They'll come for you too. They'll come for you too. No one's safe.
So this was Hu Jintao. Hu Jintao, and how long was he in power for?
I'd have to take that one on notice, but so this is really fascinating because it's so rare that we see any sort of glimpse into what's going on in China. We're sitting here, nobody really outside of the people in this room, and not even a lot of them, know really what's happening. But the appearances of this is utterly, bizarre and strange, especially because in all of the broadcast packages that the Chinese government had put out.
Let's turn these guys off the sound. Oh shit. It's weird how something, because this is quite a small thing, right? Really, like if this happened in England or whatever, you would just be like, whatever. But because it's China, you're like, what the fuck? Like, they would not make that public.
Yeah, there's that, and I don't know. Could you see that happening in the UK without having an actual explanation behind it?
They would, yeah. So does no one know what the reason was for it?
I think on the video, I can't remember why it said. They came out with an explanation, but it wasn't very. It was proper some bullshit. You can tell it was bullshit.
This footage has been banned in China.
It was halfway through the meeting as well.
It's been smuggled out of China. This thing. Oh shit, man. The top comment is: every record has been destroyed, falsified, every book rewritten, every picture has been repainted, every statue and street building has been renamed, every date has been altered, and the process is continuing day by day, minute by minute. History is stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right. Do you know where that's from?
Of course I do. 1984, if anyone's not read it.
Yeah, people need to read 1984, because the whole way through that book I was just thinking two things. I was thinking, shit man, this is in China now. And then the second thought was, shit man, this is coming here. This is going to start happening here soon.
Oh yeah, they said it's a health issue.
It doesn't look like no health issue. Oh my goodness.
Maybe I should have said that before the video, because it would have given you a bit more
Context.
Because he wouldn't just be trying to speak to Xi if he was going in for health issues.
Yeah. Yeah, they would just get up and he obviously didn't agree with the reason why he's been taken out. Well, oh yeah.
China's interesting, man.
Yeah. Right, do you want to move on to the next segment? Because I think it's quite a juicy one.
Here's a good one. So we had a bit of a debate a few months ago in the pub after a few beers. But it's something I wanted to discuss with Cam more sober and more like when you're not under the influence and can talk a bit more sense. So you were quite strong about your thoughts on being an atheist, whereas I was coming from a different perspective where I used to be atheist, but now I fall into the agnostic camp. So I'll explain why I've changed my thoughts on becoming agnostic is because I don't think I can have an opinion that God or firstly, I don't know, I'm still unsure on how to define God. And secondly, I can't say that this higher being doesn't exist because there's no evidence it does exist, but there's also no evidence it doesn't exist. So from that sort of perspective, I don't think I can call myself atheist, because how does anybody know? So I just want to know why you're atheist.
Yeah.
That's like my main thinking behind it all.
You know what I've just thought as well on the channel? Well, we've disagreed with little things. I don't think we've ever had anything that we purely disagree on. But I understand where you're coming from, but it feels like some fucking high level debate now. Basically, I think I don't believe in God because First of all, I'd like to say I would like to have I would like there to be a God. I would like there to be proven that there is a God and we can believe in the God and we know that there is a higher power. I would like that 100%. But I can't believe in something that just does. I have no evidence whatsoever that exists. And I know what you're saying. Like, there's no evidence of it, and to believe in it is what. So like to believe in it is good because you don't know it doesn't exist. So yeah, you don't know it doesn't exist, so you believe in it.
I don't believe it. I'm not saying I believe in God.
Oh, no. So you don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no evidence there is a God, and there's no evidence there isn't a God. So how can I have an opinion on something there's nothing backing it up?
Yeah. So you don't know, but
then go on.
But I know. So when you say when I say I know, this is what I know because I can only believe in what I know, and I know that there isn't a God because I've never been. It's like saying, I don't know if my TV is 50-inch or 60-inch, but I've never been introduced to a 60-inch before. I would only.
No, but you've been introduced to a tape measure.
That's probably the shittest analogy that I could have.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Actually, it's just because I saw a TV in my camera then. But because the thing doesn't exist, there's no way I can believe in it. I would like to believe in something, and yeah, go on.
My argument is not to believe in it. My argument is to
believe there is one.
My argument is sort of, why do you feel so strongly that there isn't one? Like, to say there isn't one when you don't know if there is one or there isn't. That's sort of my argument to you. It's not. I'm not saying why do you not believe in? Well, that's sort of your thing. Like, your point of view is you don't believe in God. I'm sort of asking, how can you be so certain that you can put a full stop on it?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like let's say you've never tried Coca-Cola, and someone says, "Do you like it?" You're agnostic to Coca-Cola because you don't know if you like it or not. Right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see where you're going. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, but do you get that statement? So let's say my friend Derek says, drinking some Coke, and he goes, "Oh, do you like Coke, mate?" And I say, "Oh, I don't know. I've never had it." I'm agnostic to trying his Coca-Cola.
Don't do a Rishi Sunak.
That video of him dancing. And so, yeah, fair enough. In that sense, I'm agnostic because I've never tried Coca-Cola before. But I know it fucking exists because he's got it in his hand. If someone says, "Do you believe in God?" I can't say I don't know because I don't, because there's no such thing as a God. In my head, there's actually no such thing as a God because it's just something someone said once upon a time. And I'm with Ricky Gervais. I don't believe 100% with everything that he talks about, but where he says, "Do you believe in the tooth fairy?" "Oh, I don't know." No, you don't. It's just something someone fucking made up. And that's what God is, right? But I'll tell you what my belief is. I do want to believe in God. And I've studied Jordan Peterson quite a lot. And I remember when I first read it, or tried to read his book the first time, I stopped reading it because of how much how much he sort of referenced the Bible in it. But obviously, as I got older and matured, I started looking into, and I believe a lot of what Jordan Peterson says. So as I matured and started looking into Jordan Peterson more, I believe a lot of what he says, and I want to believe that there's a God because he does, if that makes sense, because he's such a big role model to me. But that's one thing I can't connect with. Like, I don't believe this thing. There's no way of believing in it because it's actually non-existent. It's like you've just spoken a word into the atmosphere. Doesn't mean.
What I think would be a good task in this debate is how do you define God?
Non-existent.
No, for something you don't believe in, what is it you don't believe in? Do you know what I mean? Like, how are you looking at God to say you don't believe in it?
Well, let's break it down into segments, right? We could probably both agree there's not a man that sits on the clouds. And
Yeah.
he fucking blasts lightning at you with his hand. That doesn't sound right. And then if you want to go a little bit further and say, okay, when you die, your soul lives on into, I don't know, you go and meet God, or I don't know, whatever happens there. There's another connectivity there. I don't believe that, because it would be nice if that was to happen, but let's be real, like, the way life has treats people, like, there's no such thing as happy endings. That's a very depressing thing to say, but at the end of it, there's no such thing as happy ending. So I get why people think there is a God, and I get why people believe in it, because what's the point of all this if not for that? Which I get, and I fully understand. And one thing I'll say about Jordan Peterson, which I 100% agree with, is he's used God to better his life. And I 100% think...
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
Yeah, if people want to use God as a persona of do good, the Bible's written down heaven or hell. If you want to think earth, you are living in earth, which is heaven and hell right now. And if you do good things, you'll go to heaven. You won't go to heaven. You will live on heaven, on earth.
Yeah,
good things. Everything's positive.
So going back to how to define God, it's something like I've thought a lot about, because I feel like you need to be able to define it to believe in it. So it's something I've like thought about, like looking at religions like this. A lot of them preach how to live a good life, and a lot of it makes sense. Like basically, what Jordan Peterson's done is use religious texts to find morals in life, which is what religion teaches people. And I'm not saying like God is the creator and he made the world and is the creator of all these things that we're seeing today. But my sort of thinking is, where has this knowledge come from? And when you look back at like ancient civilizations, there's so much shit that can't be explained. And a lot of even mythological legends say things came down from the sky and God came from the sky. Or God lives up there in the sky. So it's myth. And it sounds a bit conspiracy.
I know what you're saying though, yeah.
Could it not have been like
there's an underlying message there that
we've been visited in the past, in ancient times, from like by aliens who have passed on their knowledge to us.
Yeah.
And it's been turned into a religion and passed on. Like, this is an idea. Like, I'm not saying I believe it, but it's trying to make logic out of something that's quite illogical.
I believe in aliens.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying though, like a higher being.
No, but I won't necessarily say they're a higher being though. I would say I believe in aliens as in there's probably a planet out there somewhere which inhabits.
All right. Do you think this planet's been visited by aliens?
I'm
just trying to make sense of like the books, because a lot of it points back to the sky. Maybe in ancient times you just had a lot of understanding from the sky and a lot of mystery about it, so they sort of developed these stories and said like God lives in the sky because the stars, the sun, the moon, it all makes the world go around, right? Well, it doesn't make the world go around, but
they would say, I don't know what civilization it is, but they believe the sun is God because
the sun comes up every day, helps plants grow, feeds the planet.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the life source of the planet, right?
Yeah.
But if the sun wasn't there, everything would die real quick.
Yeah. Same with the rain. But one thing I'll say is, like, I've just said I believe in, and I thought this when I said it, I believe in aliens, right? Even though there's absolutely no proof that there's aliens that even exist. But the only reason I believe in aliens is probably because it's like a more of a probability thing. If it's correct what the scientists say, that the world is ever expanding, or whatever, the universe, sorry, is ever expanding, and there's like replications of this, then I'm thinking, right, if we're one Earth, which there could be tens of millions of them, then the probability that there is other life forms out there is probably higher than the probability that there's a higher being that controls, or whatever the fuck you want to say. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I've got a few things that I want to say though about God. Is like, I would like to believe that there is a God. I would like there to be, even if there's a glimmer of there's a God, that will let me latch on to being able to believe in something. Like, because I envy the sort of belief that people have within religions, because albeit like a lot of them start wars and stuff, which isn't spreading love or positivity at all. That's killing another human being. Like, I would love to cling on to religion as if something to believe in. Maybe that's why I'm so like devoted to doing a channel like this about, I would say, real things are. But one thing, like thinking back to like the Bible and all of these previous civilizations and Jesus and all of this stuff, is like, think about the world that we live in now, and let's say the government or the higher powers, let's just say, for example, how much fucking corruption and shite do they do? Imagine like going back millions and millions of years, or however many years ago, even when the Bible was written, that people, you can't fucking believe people, because everyone talks out of their ass to try and better themselves and look better in front of people. And yeah, I'm Jesus. I'm like, God sent me. No, you fucking didn't. Like, you're just trying to brainwash like people who are less intelligent. And the only thing I can think of when I look at religions and people that devote their whole life to something is like, just the way humans are in society is you believe something which you don't even know is true. It's the same thing in today's day. People believe what's on the news because they're told it. The same way kids believe in the tooth fairy. The same in religions.
Naivety.
Yeah, it's like, this is the Bible teaches all these Christians there is a God, and now they're all like, there is a God. But I think they've got the wrong end of the stick with the Bible, because the Bible's basically saying heaven is on earth. You just need to, like, you are everyone.
Yeah, it's how it's interpreted, isn't it? And I think I definitely agree with you that when you die, you die. And heaven is on earth. And if you follow the guidelines from the teachings in the Bible, like the good morals, and then you're going to create heaven on earth. But if you go against them in your sin, then you're going to create hell on earth. So there is a lot of like truth in the book, but then there's also it's told in stories which people should take with a pinch of salt and just take the lessons from the stories.
Yeah, because it's sort of turned into a Chinese whispers where it's been misinterpreted so many times.
Rather than taking it as like every word as gospel, just take the lessons from the stories, and maybe that in that way society won't just write off religion as if it's a load of crap. They would actually read the stories and think, okay, like,
embrace it.
Yeah, like, this is obviously a story, but there's a lesson behind it.
Yeah.
So there's some teachings in there that could make my life better and make the people's lives around me better.
Yeah, 100%. Which is, yeah, heaven on earth in that sense. And if you decide you want to murder people and you want to go down what the sins are, like root of life, you're going to end up in hell on earth, because you're doing, it's a yin and yang, right? You keep doing positive things, like positive things will happen. It's not because, well, I guess it's not because the higher powers saying so. It's just because that's the way the Bible. That's the like what they're saying is that's the way the world's set up. You have to do good things to people around you, or else you're going to be.
Well, as far as my thinking has gone with this, is like, this is where I'm up to. I've not really thought about it for a while. And this is probably where it stopped because I thought it's too unbelievable. So I just stopped there and I thought, like, I can't write off God, but I can't accept that there is a God as well. So my thinking is, this knowledge, if it's true, it's come from somewhere. So where has it come from? Has it come from like where all the religions are pointing from the sky? Or has it just come from previous ancient civilizations that have lived different lives than what we've actually been taught previously? And these messages have been passed down? I don't know. That's something like just to ponder on, I guess.
Yeah, I would like to look into trace back these books like the Bible and the Quran and trace them back to however far. I guess someone's a big question. Right?
I think it goes like the Jewish book, is it the Torah?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Torah, then the Bible, and the Quran, like each time more and more has been added to it.
Yeah.
And
it's for certain people throughout the evolution of time to put their footprint on something which is gospel, they know is going to be gospel. Or I don't think they look when it was created. I don't think they looked at it being used this far in the future. But it's like the what's it? The amendments. What are they called? From the First Amendment, Second Amendment, made into what's it?
Bill of Rights.
That's the UK one. What's the US one called?
That's the US one, isn't it? Bill of Rights.
Oh yeah, Bill of Rights. Yeah, so it's like the Bill of Rights in 4,000 years time. Is someone going to pick up the Bill of Rights and say this, or is this going to, like, if it does live on, will it live on for someone to pick up and say, so someone must have sent this, like, I need to bear arms? Like, can they point it all to something like that, to the US Constitution? That's it. Can it be pointed to a similar sort of thing? It's just a list of rules. That's what the Bible is, a list of rules that someone made way back when. Well, it might have been a governing body at that time to say, look, we need some fucking order in this place. Everything's going crazy. As we was evolving, like, we became more of a community as a human species. And then someone who ended up at the top of the game, like, had top control, was like, right, we need some sort of fucking order here because everything's going crazy. Let's script up these rules for everyone to live by. Just because they've gone through so many years of living out in the wild and living free, that within themselves they've found this is the correct way to live.
Yes, more
order. How we get order, in society and early stages of society, and that might have just been passed on and on and on and on and evolved and changed, and people writing stuff down. And I feel like it's all come from rather than from a god, it's come from a very what's the right way of saying it? Like, it's an authority. You can tell someone with authority has written this. And if God is what everyone says God is, he's not an authority figure. He is a man of passion and love and sharing and all that stuff. All these books seem like they're from an authority where they've had some sort of control. And where I'm saying I'm looking at life as it is today and the people in control, people are believing everything they say is gospel. Well, whoever wrote the Bible way back when, yes, they've learned a lot from living out in the wild, but they're still treated as gospel.
One thing that, like, you mentioned now about authority, and one thing that piqued my interest about religion initially was I came across this video, and it's saying that in the Bible it says that that basically it talks about the devil and says it works in deceitful ways, and he will choose a human to do his like dirty work for him to take over the world. And it got the guy was talking about like Klaus Schwab and the WEF and Klaus Schwab's plans to sort of implement his plans to take over the world. And then you hear about these guys being like Satan worshippers and things like that. I don't know whether that just comes from Christian propaganda or whether there is something behind it. It's just like I'm just questioning shit. Like I'm not. It's not like I believe or anything. I just questioning why would this be in the Bible if it's just a set of rules against population.
What? Why would what be in the Bible?
Why would it say that the devil wants to choose one person to take it? The devil will choose one person to try and take over the world. And basically, I think in the Bible it says this person will be successful and God and Jesus or whoever will come and save you. That he'll be your savior.
So if we're talking, I know we're just talking, like, we're brainstorming now. We're not debate over, I guess. We're just
brainstorming. Yeah, debate's over. Like,
but yeah. So you're saying like, so let's say Klaus Schwab, if there was a devil, he would probably fit the persona quite well.
Yeah.
But like, you're saying that. Well, he's saying in the Bible it says God will after he's done his devilish duties, God will find him and then turn him to good.
Not turn him to good, but will save the population or save the believers.
So it might have been that if the Bible was written by authority-led people for rules and it's been passed on, it might have been passed on because let's think that we flicked between different, like we're in a capitalist society at the moment. The next people that got in line might not have been, I don't know what sort of ways they were living back then, but it might not have, let's say they were in a capitalist society then and they thought all the power at the top was very negative. The people who wrote the rules were really negative. And then the next sort of evolution into the next sort of society they lived in was a bit more balanced and free living. What they learned from the society before, they might have put that into the Bible. Because it's obviously been passed up and up. And as you said, things have been added into it. They might have been writing, reflecting on the community beforehand. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the people that made the rules then were the authority figure, and then when the next authority came in, they were writing about the last authority and how negative they were, and that's where maybe the devil got introduced. A feud, right? Because people don't agree with the people that were there before. Human nature, I guess, to disagree.
History is taught by the successors. Well, it's hard to comment on the book because neither of us have read it.
Yeah, that's very true.
So it's hard to say. Like, I just know like snippets of it from videos I've watched.
Yeah.
But I've never read it. It's hard to say what's actually in there.
We get a genuine idea of what's in there. We should probably.
We got an idea of what we've been taught, though.
Yeah, we should about how other people
to disregard religion.
We should probably read it, and well, I guess we're reading a somewhat religious book in our book club session. We're reading The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross.
Well, they say that the burning bush was there's a theory out there that Moses in a burning bush, when Moses spoke to God, that bush was had some psychedelic, released some psychedelic chemicals. I can't remember what the bush was called. And that's where he had his like godly experience.
Oh, right. Well, what's that in the Bible?
It's in the Bible, yeah, but it doesn't say it's a psychedelic bush. It says
yeah.
He set on fire and he spoke to God.
So I guess, yes, for religion, I would say I don't believe in God, but I would like to be proven otherwise.
What if we're in a matrix?
Then who's your closest God? Then the guy that's playing the fucking computer game,
The guy that set up the
algorithm.
the
Well, then Elon Musk.
simulation theory, isn't it? That's another like theory that it could be.
Yeah, Elon Musk might be the guy who coded the world, and he's come in to do some maintenance.
He's coming, and he's the God to save you from the devil.
Yeah, there's a virus on the algorithm. There's a fucking virus on the software, which is, and then he's come in to do some maintenance work and try and get rid of the virus. He couldn't get rid of the virus in the coding. He's had to come in and manually get rid of it. We're going to Amsterdam end of this month, so we could do a podcast over episode whilst we're there.
Get some new theories going.
No, but I like religion itself. The whole premise of it interests me like fuckloads. It's interesting because this is past civilizations talking to current civilization, past societies talking to today.
Yeah, and going back to debate, I still can't. I can't just write something off that I don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
And I might never know the answer to that my whole life, but I can't.
You probably won't know the answer because no one's figured it out.
Yeah,
we're not
the
first people. Yeah,
I'm not willing to write it off, but I'm also not willing to say I'm a believer.
Yeah. So
sit on the fence with it.
I think a lot of it as well is like people. I don't know how. Well, as I was growing up, like the way we got brought up with religion was very sort of half-heartedly. So we never fully went into religion, but we were still exposed to religion. So it always kept us kind of on the fence anyway. In the way we were brought into it, it was like, yeah, we know, like we're being told there's God, but it's not really much to do with us, and then just crack on with our lives. But I think definitely the way I felt growing up was, I have to believe in God because if I don't, when I die, then something bad might happen. So I think a lot of people still have that in the back of their minds, like I have to believe just in case when I die, they know I wasn't a believer.
Yeah.
When I get to the pearly gates, he's gonna be like, "Fuck off, mate! You didn't believe in me." Please turn around. But then there's obviously the stories of you go to hell, which is like a burning. You're in a hell for eternity, which is like a burning environment where the devil does stuff to you for the rest of your life. No, but I think definitely within the book club or even within the podcast itself, we should definitely bring more religious theories into it and read more like a wide range of people's theories that they have on religion, and both believers, non-believers, atheists, agnostics, everyone.
Yeah.
Because it's one of them things, it's a question that can never be answered. So
yeah. And I think that's why I sit as agnostic, because it's a question that can never be answered.
yeah, because I like what you're saying about ancient civilizations. They knew something. Obviously, they know all of them hieroglyphics and stuff was that they knew stuff that we don't know because no one can decipher them. But on that, do you know hieroglyphics in the Egyptian time? They're saying that the hieroglyphics was a different society, like that was more in the future than whoever created like the pyramids or whoever created, like the sphinxes, because someone was saying like these are this is art, like the technologies they must have. I think someone had a sphinx, right? Sphinx, am I saying that right?
Sphinx.
Someone was saying.
There's only one. How many sphinx are there? There's only one, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a few things though, isn't there? There's something else. I've just made all them things. I'm never gonna find it. I should have.
Well, the sphinx is a mythical creature.
Yeah, but there's they created it though, didn't they? It's a cat basically. They worship cats, didn't they? But yeah, so there's a sphinx and there's some other things as well. I won't know what they're called, but the things that were made way back when, and they were made in great detail, and they were like the technology to have created that back then. They had no machinery and stuff to create this stuff. Must have been so far advanced. And then they're saying like the people that came after and started putting hieroglyphics on everything, they were a different society, because if you actually look at hieroglyphics, they're not technology advanced. They wouldn't communicate or write down in this way. The advancements of the society before. The people with hieroglyphics have just put this shit on top of it to try and work out how these lot used to live or whatever, trying to living style. Because they're not, hieroglyphics aren't advanced, they're just pictures of things to help people work out what they're trying to say. It's a very dumbed down way of communicating.
Yeah, I get you. The Sphinx is mad, isn't it?
Do you want to end it there?
Yeah, we'll end it, because I'm getting a bit of a migraine right now.
All right. Thank you guys for listening.
Nice one. See you next week.
See you later.